What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of the Boy Center Podcast. It's your guy Marnell. We're here now with Joe Miranda. Joe, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Just transitioning. Hey, for every single game from now on until May, I think it's May 22nd, it's a playoff game now. If you're not in the playoffs, hey, guess what? You're not really in the headlines and stuff like that. Like every from like 7 through 10 to figuring out seeding, where you're gonna be and so on stuff like that. These games are gonna be really interesting, man. There's gonna be interesting games down the stretch in terms of like what teams are going to do and so on and stuff like that. It's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, it's an exciting time though, man. Like the playoffs are going to start. Give me your take on what we're going to expect from this year's playoffs.
Man, this year's gonna be really competitive because every team that's going to the playoffs literally has a good chance of winning. So it's gonna be really interesting to see who comes out of the East and the West. So I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. I mean, I think every year has great playoff seasons, but I think this year
Yeah,
especially,
but
there might be more
mhm,
less sweeps. Like I think there's gonna be
yeah,
more competitive series than probably like we've seen in the past.
yeah,
Hopefully,
especially in the East.
yeah. Because no one, as an NBA fan, we don't like sweeps. You want to see that
Yeah,
competitiveness. You don't nothing easy.
I go to 7 games.
Yeah, go to 7 games. So I think there's gonna be less sweeps just because of like especially injury this year. Like injury is such a big deal because you want to be playing your best basketball at the right time with no injuries, everyone at their best. Like that's pretty much how it is. Like some of these teams are gonna come hobbling to the playoffs, and then how good are they gonna be? And so like the Nets are a good example. Can the Nets stay healthy? Can everybody be good come playoff time? Like the biggest thing for the Nets is probably obviously their defensive issues, and they've had to improve. They have improved a little bit, but obviously they're not going to improve to the point to where you're like, oh my god, the Nets have more respect defensively. But like, you know, we'll see. But I see, we could talk less about the Nets. Not the Nets. I'm just kidding. But hey, man, there's this report out there that the Knicks are willing to trade 3 or 4 first rounders for Damian Lillard. Man, give me your take on it, and what do you see from both sides, from both the Blazers and the Knicks? Give me your
Man,
take on it, man.
I mean, for me, I said the Knicks will definitely win this. Like, if it does happen, the Knicks definitely take the win. But uh, I don't know if Portland should do that. I don't think Portland should do that. And if they
Okay.
do, then uh, I don't know. I don't think so.
Huh? Well, I mean,
So
like the
what you think?
media, yeah, yeah, like the media is always saying like, oh, you should go to a bigger market, but like when they go to a bigger market and then they start winning with a super team, then y'all complain that there's not enough competitiveness. So I don't know exactly what
Yeah,
they want. You want them to go to a better scenario, but then when they start winning, it's not competitive to others. Like I don't know what people want. Obviously, if you're a Knicks fan and you hear this report, it's kind of like, yes, Damian Lillard, and we don't have to give up any play. Like they don't have to give up R.J. Barrett or
for
Julius
real.
Randle every time. You giving me picks for Damian Lillard? That's an automatic win for the Knicks. But I think the Knicks, if the Knicks do this and it really falls through, I think then they are really a really good playoff team. Honestly, does this take them over championship? No, and that's not the Knicks' fault. It's just they have a lot of young guys that are gonna develop, and they can be really good players. Like Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin is not getting that many minutes because Julius Randle is playing his best ball of the season, and that's not Obi Toppin's fault.
Yeah,
That's just how great Julius Randle has been. But like the Knicks have always been needing another closer, and it's not to say that like Julius Randle is that Julius Randle can also be that guy as well. But you get the assassin that is Damian Lillard. When it comes to clutch time, you get a guy like him. In the clutch, you want guys like Damian Lillard. So the Knicks have always been needing another closer, um, besides Julius Randle. But if they can do, man, this will be. And then who knows, man? Maybe even knowing the Knicks, they have a lot of money. What if they get Bradley Beal? But come on, whoa,
oh
whoa! They get Bradley
no,
Beal
I
and Damian
mean,
Lillard. I mean,
Both of them with
shit.
Julius Randle.
With Julius Randle and
Shit,
considering what they already
man,
have, really, I mean,
bro.
technically speaking, no one's available except Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi, let me see this free agency class. Because obviously, like the last free agency where it was legit. I remember like free agency of like 2019, LeBron, Kyrie, KD, AD. Like that free agency
Man,
was crazy.
I think it was crazy.
That was a crazy free agency. But I mean, I don't think there's any. I mean, you do have Chris Paul, but Chris Paul is obviously going to opt in because it's like 40 plus mil that he's passing on. So you know you ain't nobody passing
Yeah,
on 40 mil for that. But yeah, he's going to be available. DeMar DeRozan is going to be available as well. Victor Oladipo. Who else? Who else? There are a couple of guys there that are available. There are a couple of guys that are available. I really don't know like who you're really gonna get legitimately. Obviously, Isaiah Thomas. I don't know if you heard much Isaiah Thomas, but last we heard of him, like he had a 10-day contract with the
yeah.
Pels. So who knows? Maybe Isaiah Thomas. Kyle Korver is a great shooter. He's still out there. He can help out a team and so stuff like that. Now, in terms of this
Yeah.
off season, like legitimate free agents, you can say Victor Oladipo, DeMar DeRozan, Chris Paul. Like there are a couple of guys, but like legitimately, like are you really going to get them? I think DeMar DeRozan. If teams have a pretty good chance at getting DeMar DeRozan, hey, go get him. Like if you're the Knicks and you
Honestly,
have a
yeah.
chance at getting DeMar DeRozan, then try getting him. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but if you're like the Knicks and so on and stuff like that, I don't know, man. I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, it's really
Yeah,
interesting. Who
but I
who
don't
would?
think the Blazers are gonna let that happen for just three
Yeah,
picks.
yeah. I mean,
I feel like they
considering.
he's
So do
worth
you
more than
think?
that.
Okay, so do you think that the Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum duo has it reached its ultimate? Like, is that it for them, or do you still give the Blazers another year? Like, is it time to split them up, or no? You still build and so on and
I
stuff
would
like that.
definitely still. Uh, I mean, I would definitely still give him some more time because injuries has not gone their way, especially with the center Nurkic and everything. Because you know, but I don't know. I feel like give him more time, maybe like 1, 2 more years, and then you just change that. It doesn't
Yeah.
hurt.
You do have Lonzo too. Lonzo is going to be an upcoming restricted free agent. If the Knicks can get someone
Oh
like
yeah,
Lonzo, that would help. DeMar DeRozan is out there.
for
Kawhi, I
sure.
think, I think Kawhi's probably going to stay with the Clippers. So he's not going to
I feel
really.
like it.
Yeah, because like the thing, like 2021 free agency, it was looking great, but Giannis is locked up, LeBron, AD, like all those guys that were projected to be free
Mhm.
agents, they're not anymore. They already have their deals. So, phew,
Yeah,
I don't know. But getting back to the point of like the Portland Trailblazers, whether the Dame and CJ backcourt, whether they should split them up or not. I don't know, man. I think they had to because like you remember that the season in which they made the Western Conference Finals and almost went to the finals like that season?
yeah,
Like aside from Dame and
yeah,
CJ, they had those wings. And like their big depth has always been there, but they had the wings in Afro Camino, Mo Harkless. Like they had multiple wings.
mhm,
But ever since then, they haven't had as many wins as they had. That's why they got a Covington, a Derrick Jones Jr. Like
yeah.
that's why they got those types of guys because like that's what got them to the Western Conference Finals in the first place. But now, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Because obviously with
Yeah, like all this time.
yeah. And Dame does not have an injury history, not even CJ. Like aside from this injury that CJ had this year, I don't think him and Dame like they're pretty clean when it comes to injuries and so on and stuff like that. So I don't think there shouldn't be
Yeah,
any hiccups for any of them when it comes to injury history. I think they're both fine. I just like I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know.
Just the pieces around them.
Because like I honestly want Lonzo to stay with the Pelicans, like that Lonzo to Zion connection. But I don't know. I don't know
Mhm.
what Lonzo's gonna be getting though. I mean, 20 mil a year for Lonzo. You think that's good for him, or do you think that's too high?
I feel like that's good.
That's
Like, cause
good.
he's gonna keep growing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, he was already he was screwed up. Not only when LeVar was saying all of this about him and Steph Curry, but they screwed him over when he said he's gonna be Magic Johnson. They're like, okay, come on. I mean, you just can't be saying that about anybody, you know. And obviously, people had these comparisons like, oh, that's a kid, that's the next
Yeah.
Kevin Durant right there, that's the next LeBron. It's like, no, Magic Johnson is one of one,
Hmm.
LeBron is one of one, KD is one of one, Steph Curry is one of one. Like, unless we really see them shoot or really do the
Mm-hmm.
things that these players are doing right now, you can't really compare. You know, you can say like he has the traits or he has this of
Yeah.
that guy, or he the way his feet work, footwork or feet work. I would say feet work is footwork actually. The footwork of like a
Footwork.
yeah
Yeah.
footwork. Yeah, right. I always get it messed up. Like the footwork of a this guy, that guy. Like that. That's yes, that's good. That's good. That's still a little bit too far, but I get where you're coming from. Like when you say, man, he's gonna be the next Magic Johnson,
Hmm.
it's like no, you know, that's not really that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Chris Paul is gonna be a free agent. He's out there, and I already told you, man. Like he's not passing up on that 40 mil. And
Hmm.
plus, the Phoenix Suns are gonna be Mikal Bridges and DeAndre Ayton are gonna be like contract eligible for next season, if I'm not mistaken. So
Oh.
in terms of contracts, DeAndre Ayton is eligible to get like a 4 year, 150, 60 mil. Like he's up on that. So
Hmm.
obviously, then you had Mikal Bridges and the value that Mikal Bridges, like we had a episode about the Phoenix Suns, like Mikal Bridges, what he does on both sides of the ball, not only shooting but also defending. You know, and he's a wing, so he's dealing with guys like LeBron, KD, like he's dealing with guys like that. So
Yeah.
and he's holding it on his own. So in terms of free agency, I don't think it's gonna be obviously we're never gonna get 2019 free agency. Like that free agency was just different in the class of itself because that free agency was absolutely crazy. Man, you was hearing all types of reports of like the Knicks didn't offer KD the max because of the Achilles and AD and stuff like that. Like that free agency is like one of one. We're never gonna get another free agency like that. But I do think there are still some solid guys for this free agency. I think, it's just a matter of like, what are they going to do? Because most of these guys can just stay with their current teams. You know, I don't really know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Kawhi's going to be a free agent. DeMar DeRozan. I don't know. Kelly Oubre is going to be a free agent as well because the Warriors might offer him a deal. Dennis Schroeder, the Lakers gave him a deal, but he declined it. That give me your because this is like a
Oh.
month ago, I think a month ago and stuff like that. Like, what was your initial reaction to when Dennis Schroeder passed up on that deal, that 4 year, 85 mil?
I was really surprised. I was really surprised. But uh, I mean, I guess he's keeping his options open. I don't know what he wants, but like he should definitely sign.
Nah, I mean that's like his best deal. Like I don't, cause like this is
Yeah,
legitimately about value. Where in terms of per year, like annual per, like how much money would you give a guy like Dennis Schroeder per year? Like be honest. If you were to give him like a 4 year deal, well, how much would you give him per year?
Dennis, I'll give him like 30
30
around
mil?
there.
30 mil in a 4 year deal.
Is
You
that too
giving this man
much?
30 million? That's a little too much. Like the deal that he got with the Lakers is solid. 85 mil for him,
Yeah,
for what he does and for his value. Because this is about value now. Like this isn't about overpricing and so stuff like that. God being crazy.
yeah,
No.
yeah,
This is pretty much like that. So yeah, I mean 2021 free agency, mm, I don't know. I mean, it's gonna look less weird now.
yeah.
Obviously, you
I
have
mean, I
John
expect
Collins.
a lot of yeah,
Yeah, go no,
true.
go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I expect like a lot of players to just sign back to the teams.
Yeah,
Like, wouldn't be surprised.
John Collins is available too. John Collins, he passed up on a deal for Atlanta. So you think he's gonna stay with Atlanta or is he gonna go somewhere else? So I think he's a restricted free agent, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm. I don't know. I feel like he'd stay.
Stay with the Hawks. I mean,
Yeah,
John Collins is pretty valuable. I'm not even gonna lie. You like what John Collins brings to the table. Obviously, he's an
yeah,
undersized
for
forward,
sure.
but he's a really athletic forward, and so on. So his athleticism makes up for his size and so stuff like that. Evan Fournier, he's been up and down. He's been up and down with the Celtics because ever since they got him from that trade, but he's been in safety protocols. I think he's gotten COVID. So like and in terms of the effects
Right.
on COVID and how it's affecting his game, like Celtics fans are kind of mad at Evan Fournier considering the slow start that he's had, like ever since. So it's like, calm down, man. This man probably had COVID, and then he had to sit down even more games because of the health and safety protocol. So, but hopefully, like these last 11, 10 games that the Celtics had, like hopefully he's able to um come back. But I mean, yeah, man, I don't expect like that superstar movement in 2019. Like obviously we're not gonna see that coming, but there's still solid players
Yeah.
out there. I mean, you still have solid players out there, solid options, and so stuff like that. And so for the Houston Rockets, what would be because we have to really do our homework in terms of free agency. Like for the Houston Rockets, what's their biggest need?
I say shooters
Shooting.
or
Shooting's the
or like
biggest.
yeah, shooters or a big or a defender. Like a lot,
So
like those top three.
So the top three needs for the Rockets are shooting,
Yeah, I say
size, and defensive help.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that
I think
is
so.
that should be there in terms of like what would you say for the Knicks, considering what they have? What would you say the Knicks' biggest needs are?
I mean, if they're gonna keep D Rose, but I don't know, like a point guard.
They're pretty solid. Like they have the bigs in Mitchell Robinson, Nerlens Noel. You have
Yeah,
Todd Gibson. So they're pretty good with forwards,
the sizes. Yeah,
bigs. Yeah, their size, their wings as well. Like their wings are pretty. So I think it's just a point guard because I don't. Obviously, they're not a point guard away from going to the championship, but like
yeah,
they would be a lot more respectable. They already are respectable this year, considering with how well they've done. But like they will be like,
mhm,
okay, this team, everything goes well and so stuff like that. This team is going to the play and
yeah.
so stuff like that. So
Like I feel like a playmaker will really make a difference in there.
yeah, I think yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, this free agency is because Bleacher Report did like an article. And look, I don't consider Bleacher Report a trusted source because they've done a lot of BS articles. Their articles are pretty bad at times, but like they do have one like every tanking team's biggest needs for the draft. This is the draft. This is not free
Okay.
agency. So the Cavaliers, they say a two-way wing, so a Kay Cunningham, maybe a Jalen Green, and so stuff like guys like that. But the Pistons, obviously, shot creation. You do have Jeremy Grant. They did get Jeremy Grant. They had the rookie Sadiq Bey, who's been pretty good. Josh Jackson. Josh Jackson, he's been but he's still doing something. The Rockets, you're right. You said the first thing, and it was shooting. The Rockets are like the worst shooting team ever. Like they are just awful when it comes to shooting.
for
But
sure.
they can make their layups though. They do make their layups.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that they're good at is just paint points. Paint points. They are not great from three. And I was not gonna lie, I was looking forward to John Wall improving his 3-point percentage and in terms of
Mhm.
his athleticism, obviously him being a little bit limited coming back from injury, but
Yeah, I wasn't expecting too much.
yeah. Out of get this, man, get because this is a crazy stat. Of the 10 Rockets who've taken at least 100 threes, only two, which are Christian Wood and Sterling Brown, are shooting better than league average. Two Rockets. Yeah.
Out of 10.
Yep.
Phew,
That's not
that's
good. That's not
no.
good. That
I
is
mean,
not
it
good
kind
at
of
all.
explains our position right now, but
Yeah,
damn.
jeez. Yeah, they need shooting. They need
Yeah.
shooting. And I think they'll find something in the draft. Obviously, not in the top, but probably in later rounds they might find guidance. So you have to do your due diligence on the draft and who you're legitimately gonna get. But yeah, they are just absolutely terrible from three. Obviously, the Timberwolves say a front court buddy for Carl Anthony Towns. See, we had this conversation with. Remember when there was like these reports that the Timberwolves wanted James Wiseman to pair with Carl Anthony Towns, stuff. I was like,
Mhm.
no, that Carl Anthony Towns is his own big. James Wiseman is going to become his own big. Now they're out here
Yeah.
making an article. Evan Mobley, that 7-footer out of USC, to him. No, come
Come
on.
on.
Unless you're gonna trade Cat, then you can do that. But I don't know. I
Why
don't
would you do
know.
that though?
I don't know. To give him some support, they say. To give him some support coming off the bench, I think then he's going to develop into a starter. So I don't know about that.
Yeah.
For OKC, score at 2 or 3. Hey, Shay's doing this thing. Lou Dort, new and
Mhm.
improved.
Oh yeah.
He's doing really well for OKC. They do have Theo Maldillion. Alex Shulsky. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but they do have some pretty good. Darius Baisley, they do have some pretty good pieces. So I think they're pretty good. They you do have Jalen Green. Like every one of these players that gets drafted, obviously every player that gets drafted, they need development. Do you see like out of the top five? Do you see like a prospect who's like really like yeah that guy is like truly developed?
Like developing ready for like the NBA.
Uh huh.
I don't really want to talk about too much about that because I haven't really been paying much attention to the draft. So I'm not really sure.
I ain't gonna listen to people talk about it though, 'cause like I kind of you know obviously like compared to past drafts. The seven in the top five, I think it's like really strong. I mean, who knows? They are still players at a pretty good position. Just kind of like you just know we just get filled with who the top five are, and then the rest are kind of
Mhm.
like don't get mentioned as much. So you're coming from that mindset of kind of like, hey, I only know the top five, and then everyone else is kind of like
Mhm.
sliding in some stuff like
Yeah.
that. But and it's okay to feel that way, but I mean, you gotta go listen to some podcasts talk about the draft, what's upcoming, and
Mhm.
and what and
Yeah.
what guys you're expecting. I will say this: a lot of guys, especially like their draft status went up. Like I think Jalen Suggs for Gonzaga, like his draft
Mm.
status went
Yeah.
up a lot just because of what he did, and him obviously winning that game when he shot in Gonzaga heading to the playoffs, obviously the no to the final and almost
Mhm.
winning it. Like that probably rose him for like a mid first round pick to like a now a top five pick. Like that. That's how big the draft like the March Madness is. Because March Madness is only to help. It's not to hurt. You're like
Yeah.
unless you're Kate Cunningham, who he's gonna go top five, then yeah, you know. And March Madness helps a lot because especially if you weren't looked at as much, but then
Like
now
you
it's kind
showed
of like
up.
you saw up draft boards and stuff. Like, man, that's yeah, and that's exactly what you want. I want everybody to shine. It's just a matter of like who are they gonna put that shine on, and so that's kind of like the Warriors and Rockets are playing right now. Like I said, man, every game from here is like a playoff game. A playoff game.
Yeah,
The Rockets are not great this year, so for the Warriors, they cannot lose a game like this. They
yeah.
cannot lose a game like this. Like especially the
I
Rockets are
mean,
playing back to
Rockets
back.
beat the Bucks.
Yeah, Rockets beat the Bucks yesterday off of KPJ's 50, and the Rockets are shooting crazy from three too. I
For
think they made
real.
about 24 threes, 24 to
Yeah, it was
25
24.
threes. I didn't look at even though I did watch the full game, I didn't look at how many threes they shot, but they shot a pretty good percentage
Yeah.
from three. So, yeah, I'm watching the game right now. It's like 4 minutes into the first quarter. Warriors are up by three. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I'm gonna
Draymond.
go watch it.
Yeah, but like this would be a bad loss for the Warriors because you remember that historic loss that they had against the Mavericks to begin the week,
Oh,
and the Mavericks are coming off a back to back. So this would be the second time in like
man, they
the
can't do
span of
that.
the same week you could potentially. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but they can't lose a game like this against the
Nah.
Rockets. You don't like losing teams in a back to back. That's not
Hmm.
that's not good. You especially in a back to back, you expect them to have less energy. You don't expect them to have more
Yeah.
energy. And the
Especially
Mavericks
when it's a
is.
team that's dead last.
Yeah.
Like you
This,
expect to win.
this would be a bad loss. Not gonna lie, this would be a bad loss. But I think they're gonna win this game. So as a Rockets fan, we just want the season to be over, not
Yeah.
expecting much. So like they were already teams that's kind of like, yeah, let's tap out. We're not making the playoffs. We're gonna be in support of the draft lottery at this point. That's what we kind of are. But hey, one player that saw his value go down, Victor Oladipo. Since the trade, I don't know how many games he played for Miami, but he played a couple games and then he got injured again,
Yeah.
and he's been out ever since. I haven't heard news of him coming back, but man, it's yeah, he hasn't fully recovered from that I think it was quad injury that he had that he had with Indy, and so he hasn't really fully recovered from it ever since.
Yeah.
So, oof.
Yes.
I don't know. I think obviously he's gonna play playoff time, but it will be interesting to see how Miami is gonna use him, whether he's gonna be in the rotation or because I don't know what Victor Oladipo are you gonna get. Are you gonna get Victor Oladipo from Indiana? That guy was an all star. That's what you got out
Yeah.
of Indy Victor Oladipo. That guy was an all star and a pretty good all star. Are you gonna get post Victor Oladipo with the Rockets and what he's doing now? Obviously, everyone wants pre-Indiana Victor Oladipo, but yeah, I don't think he's fully recovered from that injury. That's obviously why Indy traded him because obviously of the injury and obviously because of the contract. He wanted a contract that Indy was not going to offer. It's kind of like, okay, you know what? We're not giving you this. We're not giving you this. So that's why they traded him. But yeah, um, Kawhi. Shoot, would you be surprised if Kawhi goes to the Knicks?
The Knicks.
Imagine though, Kawhi going to the Knicks. That would be crazy.
Shoot. I mean, that would really be surprising.
Yeah.
But I don't think I see that happening.
It's just making assumptions. I acting like ESPN now, making these assumptions. Yeah, it would be crazy to see because like the Knicks are one of the teams that, in terms of like the Knicks, Bulls, are some of the teams that are starting to create. The Knicks have always had money, but like the Knicks, Bulls, like teams like that are starting to have money for upcoming free agents to come in. And
Yeah.
Lonzo's getting pretty good interest. Lonzo's getting pretty good interest. Not gonna lie. Um, So in terms of a fit, considering how the Knicks and Bulls are, where would you say he's a better fit? With the Knicks or with the Bulls? Like respectfully speak.
For Lonzo,
Yeah.
I say I say the Knicks for sure.
The Knicks. I say the
Yeah.
Knicks need more of a shot maker And that's no disrespect to Lonzo and what he does. Lonzo creates shots for others. That's kind of like what
True,
Lonzo
true.
is. But you would love to get Lonzo. Who wouldn't?
Yeah,
The heck, who wouldn't get Lonzo? But I don't know. Yeah. Obviously with the Bulls, Kobe White. Kobe White is a good scorer. That's what Kobe White is. Kobe White's a good scorer. Kobe White is not a guy who's looking to play make. Kobe White's looking to score. So I would
hmm,
see it as a fit there for Chicago as well. But hey, it's ultimately what Lonzo wants, his best
yeah,
spot,
true.
obviously spot, fit, and money,
Hmm.
compared to Chicago from New Orleans in terms of a city perspective, you know. I mean, where is Chicago or New Orleans though? Because obviously, I mean, you
I
who
mean,
would pass up on playing on Zion, but also who's gonna pass up playing on it with a
yeah,
guy like Zach LaVine and now
like
Nikola
Vucevic
Vucevic
shit.
in it?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah. I mean,
if he can stay with the
and like,
Pelicans, he can. But like, man, I don't know what the Pelicans are doing, man.
yeah,
You remember it's like the moves that they made, like they have Lonzo and then they draft another guard, and then they get Steven Adams, and then there's like their lineup at one
yeah. I
point
think,
was their lineup at one point was Lonzo, Eric Bledsoe, um, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Steven Adams.
yeah,
I don't know if you know this, man, but none of those guys are like really great shooters. Lonzo has
yeah.
improved. Like I don't out of all those guys, I don't think
I mean,
there's no
Ingram is a scorer, but
yeah. But you need like you need shooting in
yeah,
there. I mean,
shooter.
come on. You need shooting. And then Steven Adams is not gonna shoot the ball. Steven Adams' best attribute is like, him
Rebounding.
rebounding and creating extra chances, for you to kick out and to shoot. Zion's
Yeah.
best trait is getting to the rack and dunking it on you or laying
Hmm.
it up on you. And Lonzo's
But
best
now
trait is to
Zion's
play
playing.
make.
Yeah, but now Zion's playing point guard, like
Point Zion. And he did
for
play point guard.
Zion.
And he did play point guard in high school as well. So he did have that.
This
Brandon
man can
Ingram,
do everything. Then.
yeah. Brandon Ingram is playing really well. Eric Bledsoe, Eric Bledsoe. Oh man, he has become a target. Pelican
Yeah.
fans are not in love with Eric Bledsoe. So he's been that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like the Pelicans roster constructing is really confusing. So like you have really four. They have four guards before the draft. They have Lonzo. You have JJ Redick. You have Eric Bledsoe. You have Josh Hart. You have Nikhil Alexander Walker. And then you draft a
Sheesh.
sixth guard off the draft and Kyle Lewis Jr. Come on, man. Like, I don't know really what they're doing. And then obviously
Yeah.
their depth in terms of bigs, you have Steven Adams, uh, Jen, Uh, I forgot this. I forgot his name, but he's really athletic for the Pelicans. I know. I'm forgetting who he is, but like I think you know what I'm talking about. I know exactly who he is. I'm just forgetting his name, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I think I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
Steven Adams. They did, the guy that I keep forgetting his name. Yeah, and then what was it? They have William, and then Gomez, and then yeah, I think they go with that. Their wings have Brandon Ingram. You can play Josh Hart at wing if you want. Yeah, Josh Hart's a
Mm.
pit bull, so you can do that with him. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's just they messed up. David Griffin messed up. I'm not even gonna lie, they messed up. And in terms of how they use Lonzo, obviously, because Zion is spending more time at point, they're not using Lonzo to his best ability and him being the primary point guard and him creating. Instead, it's Zion creating for himself and for others. And so then
Yeah.
Lonzo's value diminishes because that's not what Lonzo's really best at. Lonzo is the best at getting the ball and setting up shots for others. But they're making him like a spot up shooter and just 3-and-D type of
That's not
guy.
who he
Like
is.
go and play defense. That's pretty much what he is. So Pelicans are so confusing to me in terms of their roster construction. They are so confusing to me because I don't know. I really don't know what they did. And obviously, they're not only that, they already had these problems with their roster. They're not great defensively. They're not a good defensive team. And so, not have that. Lonzo's a good defender. Josh Hart plays defense. Zion and Brandon Ingram, who are your two best players, they're not great defenders. Like I've already said this about Zion, he's gonna be a really good player for the upcoming 5 years. Have barring injury and so on and stuff like that, anything crazy, he's gonna be a really good player in the league. But Zion has his deficiencies on defense. And, look, we seen the highlight blocks and him sending the Nuggets guard. He's putting up a layup and so stuff like that. Like we've seen all those highlight plays. Like you got to be able to move side to side, slide them feet, play defense. That's not what Zion does. He obviously he's got to improve on that point. But offensively, he's really eventually if he gets to the playoffs, man, he's gonna get the Giannis treatment because you know how because
Mhm.
Giannis top of the key. Just what the Raptors did. We're gonna build a wall, and then you're not gonna go. You're gonna get past this one. We're gonna force you to shoot from three. So that's kind of like if he gets to the playoffs, which I think it'll be interesting to see what they do in the offseason and so on stuff like that. If they're really gonna sign Lonzo, if they do sign Lonzo, it wouldn't be surprising seeing him back with the Pelicans. But like, please use him the right way, and that's what I want the Pelicans to do. Like, please use him the right way, because I
Yeah.
get point Zion and so stuff like that, but use him the right way. So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say before that. Ah, dang it. Um, I forgot. I forgot. But yeah, that's pretty. I don't know what we're gonna call this episode today. I don't know. I don't know. Today kind of stunk in terms of like what to talk about because like we're reaching playoff time, so these games are really starting to count a lot more. Christian Wood for three. Yeah, these games are starting to count a lot more. But yeah, the Rockets are up by 6 right now. This
Oh,
this
okay.
the Rockets win this game. I do not care. This will be a bad loss for the Warriors. They cannot lose a game like this.
Mm.
You gotta win this game. So I'm not rooting for the Warriors, but just looking out for them. It's not looking great if they lose this game. So see,
Yeah.
coming off a back to back, they're gonna get the same treatment that they got with Dallas. Dallas is coming off a back to back and they beat you by 30. That is not a good look. So you don't want that same thing with the
Yeah.
Rockets. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it for today. Um, yeah, I ain't got much else, man.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, that's it. Uh, we'll do like a top 10 point guard thing next week. We can do that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we'll do like a top 10 point guard thing. So I really want to see if you're gonna
Or
be
guard in
BSing
general.
or guard. Yeah, you might do something crazy, and I might call you out on it. Who knows? But really construct the list carefully, man.
Hey, I got you. I got you.
All right, we'll check with you on that.